You are listening to the Beaverton, North America's trusted source of news.
Tonight on the Beaverton, the world wonders what Trump will do as his deadline for tariffs arrives. Will he announce a bunch of tariffs and then backtrack when the stock market crashes? Or will he announce a bunch of tariffs and then backtrack when the stock market crashes? Israel has publicly admitted that the goal of its war in Gaza is to colonize the area. Who could have seen this coming, say the dumbest people you know, all of whom run mainstream media outlets? And Pierre Poilievre says the election has to be about more than Donald Trump. Don't worry, Pierre, it's clear the election is also about how much people do not like you. That's right, it's time to make fun of the news once again. It's the Beaverton Weekly Report for April 2nd, 2025. Welcome to the show, everyone. So glad you were tuning in. We have just an absolute ton of news to talk about this week, so we're going to dive right in. My name is Luke Gornfield, and I am joined, as always, by my all-star panel of comedians. This week on the program, we have three wonderfully talented panelists, all of whom have also had a bounty put on their head by the Communist Party of China. Ian MacIntyre, Clare Blackwood, and Megan MacKay.
What? Come and get me.
I know what I did.
Oh, you're owning it. It's fine.
Yeah. No, they're right to do it.
Yeah. You're the guy who volunteers to be the tribute of the chattering landlord classes.
Hey, man, it's how I make my money.
Was that a knock on the door? Oh shit.
Again, you're so believable that I was absolutely oh, we gotta stop. There's a knock on the door.
Too good an actor, Claire.
Oh my god, stop. Someone tell my agent.
I mean, we did order pizza. No. Thank you all for being here. I'm excited to talk about this week in the news. There's a lot of stuff to cover, but I of course want to start with the election, and specifically the Conservatives are in disarray, according to multiple news stories that were written this week, which is probably true. Polls show the Liberals still very much in the lead, including in the vote-rich provinces of Ontario and Quebec, where the Bloc are starting to plummet. Multiple news stories were written featuring anonymous Conservative staffers who are clearly trying to get out ahead of this thing and jump off that Titanic before it sinks, and describing a campaign that is disorganized and a mess. Staffers were apparently not told what they'd been doing on the campaign until after the writ was dropped. Decisions take forever because everything has to go by kind of lead Poilievre advisor Jenny Byrne, who's this far-right conservative firebrand figure who is known for attacking conservatives on Twitter for not being conservative enough.
And his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't know that until this week. And then I read that profile on her, and it was and they just kind of slip it in. It's oh yeah, they dated for 12 years. It's what?
12 years?
I mean, it was the 90s until the early 10s.
So 25 years.
Yeah. Pierre Poilievre's 73 years old.
Okay, I take a lot of it back. He looks great.
That's true.
Yeah, he does have baby face. In wrestling terms, he's definitely a heel, but he does have baby face. That's my one wrestling knowledge. That's not true. I know a lot.
Resting baby face. That's the new one.
I mean, until the glasses came off. Once the glasses came off and his forehead got all wrinkly,
then his eyes kind of shrink.
Yeah,
they get beadier.
Yeah, the baby face was maybe
It's like when you
gone.
bring a fish up from the deep.
Yes, it's exactly like that.
Yes, I know exactly what it's like to bring a fish up from the deep. All the times I've done that, yes.
You don't care about my people in Atlantic Canada, do you, at all? Toronto-centric Beaverton.
I like how I feel like I'm radicalizing this panel slowly. Because every week I shit on a different part of Canada, usually in the Patreon exclusive parts, so no one really knows about it except for my panelists. No, that's not true. There's a lot of patrons who do listen, but except for the patron, no one really knows about it. And except for the panelists who every week think lesser and lesser of me as they're how dare you judge Saskatchewan?
We're going to find out at the very end of the Beaverton podcast that you're not even from Canada at all.
Luke's been Russian this whole time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm an asset? A Russian asset?
I shall get all the good comedians from Canada, and then I win.
Thank you for being the one to do the accent. As soon as you said Russian, I was I'm not doing the accent.
Maybe if we're assets, we'll get some of that Tim Pool, Lawrence Southern money.
Ooh, I can be bought.
Surprise, cheaper than them for me.
Oh. Yeah, $2 million a year? Come on, that's ridiculous. I'd sell out my country for a third of that. All right, back to the Conservatives and not me being, someone slowly pissing everyone off, city by city, province by province. How is it possible for a party to not be ready for an election that you've been calling for every day for a year? How could that be possible?
Oh, they've been calling for it every day since 2021. They finished the last election, and he was like, all right, on to the next.
I mean, I just don't think that you can prep for someone like Trump, who this election is clearly all about.
Sure.
Like, I think that's literally just it. I think Trump came in like an actual wrecking ball, and now they are scrambling because Pierre Poilievre is unable to pivot. He cannot pivot.
Yeah, I mean, if he's shown anything, it's like,
This man has one goal, and this one goal has been totally kiboshed, and he's like, well, so glad I still have my one goal. And you're like, no.
Well, it's probably also the carbon tax stuff too, right? Like they were building a carbon tax election, and then that went away, and they were like, well, we have slogans. I don't know what. Ooh, yeah, it's rough to watch. Rough to watch.
I think not preparing at all for this election is the most relatable thing Poilievre has ever done for me. Like one time when we were moving in, I smashed a hole into one of our closets, and I was like, I'm going to figure out how to fix that. And I looked it up online, and then I didn't do it, and then I didn't do it, and then I didn't do it. And then we moved last year. Luke was there. He helped me. And that was our old place, and I never fixed it. So Poilievre not doing this at all until, like, since COVID, I relate, man.
Yeah.
the buyer of your place is like at home being like, that's where that came from. I told you I didn't do it.
Put this on the Patreon. No one will hear it.
No, they're patrons. I checked when they moved in.
Damn it.
Yeah, it's like step 1, call for an election. Step 3, form majority government. And they just completely forgot step 2. And they're like, wait, what was step 2 again?
In fairness, according to the polls, that was for sure working for them for a great deal of time.
Yes.
Totally. But again, like, you're absolutely, everything you guys said is, I think, accurate. And I think it accurately reflects the conservative mindset. But, like, Trump was predictable. Trudeau resigning was somewhat predictable, and his replacement canceling the carbon tax was somewhat predictable.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I would disagree. I don't think
all of it?
A lot of it.
Okay.
I don't.
Every dumb thing you say.
Every dumb thing.
No, I just mean Trump was winning in most of the polls. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think there was a period of time where people did think Kamala was going to win, and I do think there was a solid chunk of time. I know. I'm sorry, Ian. She's terrible too, but for other ways. Yeah. And like, and then there was a time. I don't think that he thought Justin Trudeau was going to step down.
I'm still not sure it happened.
No, I think he was absolutely banking on Justin's ego carrying him through to the next election.
Totally agreed.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're not wrong about that in the sense that I'm not going to disagree. Sorry, but no, yeah, I don't think you're wrong about that. But the thing about Trudeau is, and I know this is irrelevant really because it's Carney and that's what it is. He was kind of right. Like his whole game plan was hang on, and if Trump wins and does what I know Trump's going to do, the polls will come back around. And so I just need to hang on and wait for that. He was right. Do I think the Liberals would be as far in front with Trudeau instead of Carney?
God,
of
no.
course not, because the baggage of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And it would probably be much more of like the Conservatives are just going to win a minority government as opposed to the Liberals might win a majority government. For sure. But you got to kind of retrospectively be like, everyone who's like, he has 0% chance, he's an idiot for sticking around, nothing is going to change the polls. He was kind of right. If he'd hung around another couple months, the polls might have come back in his favor. Now, it's probably good for the Liberals that he didn't, because Carney came in at the absolute perfect time to ride this anti-Trump wave. But Trudeau was kind of right.
He was. But also, like, I don't think he would have canceled the carbon tax.
No.
I don't think he would have canceled the capital gains tax, both of which, like you said, were huge points in Carney's favor. I don't know. I think if Trudeau had stayed in, I think it would absolutely be Poilievre's government.
Yeah, it'd at least be a toss-up. I think it'd probably be Poilievre would be winning. It's like in Star Wars, if Obi-Wan was like, I'm pretty sure I can make it off the Death Star. Like, I think we can all get out of here. I think it'll be fine. Yeah. And then just screwed up the whole thing.
Yeah, that with Ewan McGregor, I remember.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a little shot to make Ian mad.
He's the one who goes beep, boop, 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 right?
There's a Star Wars poster right behind.
I mean, my name is literally Luke, so I don't get to judge people on loving Star Wars. Not that I chose it, but anyways. The thing that I think set all this disarray off is that Doug Ford's campaign manager, whose name I'm forgetting offhand, Corey Tenecki, or how do you say it?
I like Tenecki a lot better. It's one of those names I've read a million times and never heard out loud.
Yeah,
so,
that's my problem right now.
You're Tenecki now, Corey.
Too late. Yeah.
Corey, anyways, with a K.
Should have been
Corey
famous.
with a K. No, he's a guy who like has worked in conservative politics for many, many years. He also, I think it's well known, there's no love lost between him and Jenny Byrne, Poilievre's number one.
I did not know that.
I don't think they like each other very much. So this is obviously part of that, is that he's throwing a rival under the bus, because I think he probably wants to be the conservative go-to campaign manager person.
Wait. Love triangle?
Enemies to lovers to enemies?
Hold on, guys. I gotta go write something real quick.
Pierre and Corey Teneke have to share a bed in a hotel.
Oh my god, one big bed. Oh
my
my favorite trope. Oh, god.
So, I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong about that, but I think it's fairly well known inside Ottawa circles that when they worked on the last Harper campaign in 2015, they did not see eye to eye on a lot of things. So anyways, he came out and said, I believe it's, for the Conservatives in the campaign cockpit, every buzzer and alarm is going off, and the plane is like going bzzz, and it's like, pull up, pull up, pull up. And then later on said, I'll make the case tonight, and hopefully this will permeate the Conservative Party war room somewhere. You've got to get on the fucking ballot question that is driving votes, or you are going to lose. So was not a subtle message there.
But he used the wrong metaphor, because Poilievre is so pro-Trump at this point that he's like, crashing planes, that's a good thing. That's part of it.
Yes.
Terrain my ass.
Yeah.
He's Denzel Washington just flipping the plane upside down.
I'm going to roll it.
3 scotches deep.
That's it. I've never seen that movie.
I just described the best scene. You're good. The rest of it's a courtroom. You're like, oh, it's a plane crash movie. And it's like, well, the first 20 minutes are pretty awesome. And then after that, there's a lot of like Denzel Washington being drunk and talking to his lawyers.
And then does he save the day by rolling another plane?
No, he goes to jail.
Oh, man.
Sorry, spoiler alert. But we can talk about the substance of what he said, which I think is very important. But there's also the optics of, like, he's Doug Ford's guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have said this if he thought it would piss Doug Ford off.
Oh, no.
He's too smart for that. So what do you make of the split in the two biggest conservative politicians in this country? Now there's the Ford camp and the Poilievre camp.
I mean, I think you see the stark difference between them as politicians where, like Doug Ford, incredibly corrupt. I have no love lost between me and him, but he's at least able to pivot.
Yes.
Sometimes abandoning things he completely stood for at the drop of a hat.
Absolutely. But at least I think he thinks he cares about Ontario. And I don't think Pierre Poilievre gives a shit about Canada.
Correct. Oh, totally.
I think that's the difference.
No, I think you're totally right. I think this is some real Alien v Predator kind of vibes of, just let them fight. I'm not shocked that the knives are out in that party at the drop of a hat. They will turn on each other. That's what the party's about.
Well, he wants it, right? Like,
yeah.
He wants it. So it doesn't surprise me that he's, trying to sink that ship while he spots a hole and he's like, let's drive that thing into another iceberg and 3 or 4, 5, 10 icebergs, and then maybe I'll be captain next time on boat 2.
I mean, that would be wild to go from a guy who is the brother of the crack-smoking mayor to the guy who couldn't get elected mayor to full-on Prime Minister of Canada.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants it, and I'll be curious. I don't.
Oh,
Okay.
I definitely think he does.
I used to, and then now I don't anymore. I hope I'm right.
I mean, he does have structural issues. As much as we're like he's better than Poilievre in that he can pivot and he's less like wedded to this MAGA, far right stuff. He obviously does not speak French. Has I know there's a lot of, especially on the conservative side, like prime ministers who speak French in like the strongest of air quotes, like Harper for many years. Poilievre now, I don't think his French is all that great, although it's apparently quite passable. But I mean, Doug Ford at the French debate would be something to see.
I would actually love that. You know what? I take it back.
I think it might be worth it for that.
I was just picturing him up there using his phone to do Google Translate for all the answers, but then I remember Doug Ford doesn't know how to use a cell phone.
That's true. Or a laptop.
Yeah. He can only do it with his BlackBerry from 2015 that he still gets.
I volunteer to be his translator.
Well, there's Ford, and then there's also Danielle Smith, as we've talked about on this podcast before, is also, whether it's intentional or not, she is just dragging the Conservatives down, because we talked about when she had the Breitbart interview and what a disaster that was, and then we all agreed, well, she'll absolutely shut up now because of the damage done. And then, maybe we didn't all agree, but that's what she should have done. We all agreed that's what she should do.
You know who didn't agree with that was Danielle Smith.
It was me.
Also Clare.
And Clare. Most importantly, Clare. Secondly, importantly, Danielle Smith.
Yes.
But she went on, she was talking to Ben Shapiro at a gala or an event that cost just an absurd amount of money for people to go to. And, she she was asked, like, why are you still talking about this stuff, even though it's killing Poilievre every day? And she was just like, I will not be silent. And which is such a bold thing to say when you're talking about literally just like, here's how to hand the country over to Trump, kind of, as opposed to like, I will stand up for human rights kind of deal.
It's fascinating. It's really, she's such a fascinating person to me in the sense of like, everybody else, like even Poilievre, you know, Trudeau, Poilievre, Mark Carney, Doug Ford are like, you know, screw this guy, we'll stand strong, we'll fight back, we're Canadian, you're never going to be the 51st state. And Danielle's just like, hey, Ben, listen, if you guys take us over, you're going to regret it because there's a lot of woke libs. So, like, just, you know, think about that. That's the angle she went with. She's like, you're going to have a lot of liberals coming into the country and you don't want that. And I'm like, that's an odd way of
Our country sucks, you don't want it.
Well, yeah, it was very interesting. It came at it from a very different point of view. A terrible one.
Yes. I want to know why we're all trying to cancel Danielle Smith here. Just trying to silence her free speech.
Yeah.
Let her keep going. This is the best. It's insane. She's firing cannonballs into the deck of the ship this whole time, and she refuses to stop, and they can't make her.
Yeah.
Do you think she is delusional enough to think she could win an election to become prime minister? Like, not the Conservative leadership race. I believe she could win that. But a actual general election against Mark Carney or whoever's leading the Liberals when she gets in power. Like, does she actually believe she could win that? Other than it's a insane tsunami conditions election where the Liberals have just pissed everyone off and there's no Trump coming to save the day now.
I think she's delusional enough to think she can win president of the galaxy. I think she is not tethered to this earth anymore, my friend.
I think she's going to run on, when I become prime minister, I'm going to rename Canada Larger Alberta. That's how much I believe that she's delusional about it.
I think she either wants to run, right? Like she wants the big chair, or she wants to make a ton of money in the Jordan Peterson vein where she becomes this talking head everywhere and just, you know, launches a podcast and all, like he makes $1 bajillion million on Patreon, right? Like he makes a lot of money doing that. So she's either looking to become Prime Minister of Canada or she's looking to become filthy rich by entertaining these Maple MAGA / regular MAGA people online.
And I bet
She's not good enough at it.
No.
She's very unpleasant.
Yeah.
But she
I mean,
thinks
they
she
all
can,
are, but-
she thinks she can be like queen of, you know, time and space. She's gonna think that she can. It logically follows that she's like, I'm also the most entertaining person on planet Earth, right? Like it's the same level of deluded. It's one or the other.
And I bet in conservative circles, those two positions, prime minister of a country and Jordan Peterson light, are like equally prestigious. Like that's how far the kind of like love of public service has fallen, especially in conservative circles, but frankly across the board, really, where it's like politician and far right wing grifter just feel like two sides of the same coin.
That's Poilievre's absolutely going to
yeah.
do that if he once he leaves politics. He's absolutely going to join on a joint podcast with Peterson or something like that.
I guarantee he's already got 80 episodes back.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%.
Just nothing but crypto.
Yeah, it's in his basement. His wife's not allowed down there.
Yeah, he's got the man zone in the
Oh,
basement.
1,000%. It says no females allowed.
Like a neon sign. Are all men issued a podcast mic and a brick wall and a neon sign in their basement nowadays? When do I get mine?
It's hard to shit on the number of podcasts while making a podcast, but
I don't care how many this gets. Too many podcasts, especially featuring white, angry, loud men.
We don't have a neon sign for listeners, so we're killing it. We just have a Star Wars poster and some awesome mugs. We're doing great.
They're good mugs.
And we don't. Yeah, that is one of the biggest clues of like, hey, how do you know someone's a misogynist if they refer to women as females? Like
Yes.
that like real enunciation, you're like,
Oh,
okay,
it's
this is clearly telling me something. I think, and you mentioned it right off the top, Claire, that like the biggest knock on Poilievre that conservatives would make, other than just, hey, this is not a good guy, we don't like him, is, which is I think what most of us would say, is, as you said, the refusal or complete inability to pivot. And he was asked about that this week, and he refused completely. He said, to the Corys of the world, again, I'm not going to say the last name, Corey with a K, of the world, who are saying, you got to talk about Trump, that's what the election is about. He came out and said, no, the election has to be about more than Trump, which It doesn't. Elections can be one thing. Free trade was a one-issue election in 88. 88 was a one-issue election. It was free trade in 88. 30s, 40s, the Depression, World War II. There have been one-issue elections. They happen all the time in this country. And to just assume that at some point the Trump stuff will lose its juice and you will get your polling numbers back to where they were, 4 or 5 months ago, that's insane.
I think it really speaks to Poilievre's judgment that he thinks Donald Trump is going to chill out and step away from the media spotlight within the next 4 weeks.
He notoriously does it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just goes to ground and hangs out.
Yeah. He's like, I'm just going to golf for a few weeks. And he doesn't say anything, and it's the most peace I ever experienced. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, he could be on the golf course every day and he would still fire off a million Truth Social posts calling for a war in the Middle East and Sub-Saharan Africa, and we're all just like, what the fuck? And she's just like, it was in between shots. And you're like, all right.
I feel like we've lost sight of the fact that the President of the United States has his own social media platform that really only he uses, where he fires out missives constantly saying the craziest shit you've ever heard, and they're called truths.
Yeah.
That's fantasy novel stuff right there.
And I hate the fact that they're so funny. I hate this man so much because nobody with his amount of power and nobody with his amount of evil in there should be as funny as he is.
He is annoyingly good at he's been compared to a stand-up comic. I don't even know if it's so much stand-up. He is annoyingly good at playing with words and just grabbing people's attention and having them hang off every word in a way that is very comedic in nature, where it's he just has the crowd, and so every enunciation, every little is the way he says things, it is annoyingly entertaining. And that's what I think your Poilievres and all the imitators can't get, because they just don't have any ability to mimic that level of this is almost a comedy show going to see Donald Trump for an hour.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is all of the time that Trump is doing it, he is destroying the office, the actual factual office of the U.S. presidency.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's that irony is always hanging there. Yeah. And any one of those other guys is I want this to exist. And he's I truly don't give a shit. Yeah. I don't give a shit if this all burns around me.
Sad.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just... It's a performance art bit at that whole time that no one else dares to go that far. He is the Andy Kaufman of, I guess now? I don't know.
Yeah, he should win the Andy Kaufman Award for sure.
Oh, that's so sad.
Well, and that's the thing that's I think is happening to Poilievre more and more, and especially since the campaign started, is he goes to say something that he thinks is going to get a big reaction the way Trump would at one of his rallies, and everyone just goes what the fuck was that? And I think one of the biggest ones happened this week where he's speaking, and I think Megan knows where this is going, and he's speaking and he's trying to talk about the cost of living crisis, which is obviously his big issue. That's what he was up in the polls on the basis of. That's what he's trying to make this election about. And he also, as everyone knows, but I'll just, a little bit of background, he is so underwater with women that it is...
I believe you mean females?
I was almost going to say it and then I didn't, but thank you for doing it. He is so underwater with women, by 30, 40 points. He's just above water with men. He's winning men. But he is so losing women who, by the way, vote more than men, that he is...
Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're really fucking this up. You guys are saying but he's so underwater with women that it's going to kill him. And he came out and said, and I guess he was trying to be, non-gendered because he technically said couples, but he said, we will not forget that 36-year-old couple, obviously we know what he meant, whose biological clock is running out faster than they can afford to buy a home and have kids. So I think Ian and I should take lead on this issue.
Yeah, why not?
Let's sit down and be quiet.
Yeah, that feels right. That feels like
Please,
my role.
gentlemen, educate us.
I mean, I do have a biological clock, but it's telling me to get sandals with socks and a cell phone holster.
Yeah.
As I get older.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, mine is just in my sneeze and how loud it gets.
Oh, good. Just louder year by year.
You can track it. Yeah, for sure.
I really wonder if anybody has ever told him that you can talk about issues surrounding women having children without sounding like the most massive creep. It's possible, I think, because it's a genuine issue, right? There are women and people who can have children who are not doing it because of the cost of living. That is a genuine concern. it's a good thing that he should talk about it. It could be a good point. And then he just has to throw in biological clocks. And then I'm like, I don't want him having anything to do with my biological clock.
Can't you just picture him saying the word ovaries?
Oh, Ian,
That was uncalled for.
we're friends.
I'm so sorry.
I disagree with you guys. I think he's totally right. Like, I'm 33, and like sometimes I get a period, and then sometimes it's just a puff of dust, and it's like it's got this like Nosferatu gasping sound to it, like. You know.
Oh, that's where that cobweb came from that I found
it
earlier.
just shoots at, and you know what?
So he's thinking about your cobwebs. Is what you're saying.
God. That was worse. That was worse than ovaries.
But I can say it.
That's true.
Yeah, totally right. Co-sign it. Put my name beside his. That's fine. I'll take it. That's great.
He'll give your fertile clock a home.
You can't gross me out. I agree with him. He's great. You can. I'll walk right up to that line and past it. Sounds great. Yeah, sure. I'm phased.
He's doing slightly better with females now, I guess.
He's got one up.
He's got one.
That's
one.
1,000,000% better than he was doing before. I feel like this is such a great example of when I talk to, and I don't have a lot, but the few conservative-leaning friends I have who sometimes genuinely don't understand why people hate Poilievre so much. Because they're like, he's never been in power. He's never made your life worse. You know, like, is it just vibes? Like, why do you hate this guy so much? This is a great example. And it's like one of a million examples of just like everything about him repels me on every level. And even if I agreed with him on taxes or the capital gains test or whatever, just his whole vibe would make my skin crawl so hard that I could never vote for him. And for people who don't break out into hives when they watch him talk, you can't. It's impossible to describe to someone how that happens. But it's genuinely a horrifying experience watching him talk for me. And the idea of him not being prime minister after trying to psych myself up for the fact that he was going to be prime minister for the last couple of years, that he would be prime minister for the next 4 years, is such a relief.
Yes.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm going to look so dumb in a month when he wins.
No one's recording this, are they?
No. I mean, look, we're going to have some hot takes that go awry on this podcast. We can't shy away from it. But like, so if I'm wrong, I'll be wrong, and that's fine. But like,
So
it's
here's
such a
why
relief.
women shouldn't vote.
It's so confusing. What do you do? All those little circles?
There's two parties.
What do I? Yeah, I can't even read. What is reading? What is it? I've never done it, and I choose not to because it doesn't feel like my place.
Go back to your cobwebs.
You're leaning so hard into this bit that I'm like,
I think I could get some trad wives. I'll walk
I was
away
going to say,
today.
you're going full trad wife.
I'm
You
gonna
go full tribe wife, and I will go full right wing like YouTuber.
Oh my
You guys
God.
could succeed where Danielle Smith can't pull it off.
I am the anti-Rachel
there's actual
Gilmore. I could be the
charisma.
anti-Rachel Gilmore, and we can have
Give it 3 weeks. We're gonna come into the studio just like dripping in gold, like filthy rich, because we have all the trad wives now. It's gonna be great.
You're going to be filthy rich and still do this podcast?
To stunt on you guys. That's where I
Fair.
get my joy.
I respect it.
I just love the
respect
fact that you're going to be a trad wife who is blinged out completely,
Yes.
which is the opposite of that entire
They
aesthetic.
all are.
That's God's medal, baby.
And that's the quote of the episode.
Just like going to like get the eggs from the chickens and your bling is constantly in the way as you try to scoop it up.
Don't heck my diamonds. I'm just here for the content. Thank you for
Bold
your
of you
eggs.
to assume that her chickens are also not decked out in bling.
Oh my God.
True.
Little chicken sunglasses. Shut up. Okay, hold on. Note to self. Sell little chicken sunglasses.
Well, let's talk about the reason that the Liberals are probably flying so high, which has obviously nothing to do with Carney and everything to do with Donald Trump. Because the deadline has arrived for Trump's Liberation Day, aka the day he announces a bunch of random ass tariffs that crash the economy for no reason. We're at a slight disadvantage here because we're recording this Tuesday evening. The announcement, as far as I know, has not been released yet. It's going to probably come out as people are listening to this or a little bit after. But we do know exactly, even if we don't know exactly what is happening, we do know what it's like to live in this cycle for a couple months now. How do you all feel about the never-ending cycle of Trump threatening tariffs, backing down a bit, giving him some kind of symbolic victory, then threatening them all over again?
I thought it had been 5 years.
It's just exhausting. You said he was going to put 25% tariff on Canadian Mexican cars. It's like, will he though? Will he? I mean, probably. For how long? It's just, I can see why people would just slowly start to tune it out, to be honest, and just kind of start living their lives.
Which I wonder is almost his goal, because the whole reason he keeps backing down is because the stock market keeps crashing when the tariffs get announced. And he is, wedded to the idea that when in his first term, the stock market did great, and that made him a good president and a better president than Joe Biden. But, the more people are less shocked, the less people are shocked by the constant tariff announcements, presumably the stock market will react not nearly as strong as it does the first time or the second time or the third time. So I wonder if that's sort of like I'm just going to wear people down. Now, obviously the stock market is still going to drop because it's still bad for business. It's still bad for trade, bad for the economy. But there's clearly a shock element to how much the stock market drops every time he announces a tariff. So I do wonder if that's part of it. Is it's just like if I keep playing this game over and over and over again, eventually people won't even realize when I don't back down anymore, and then there'll be tariffs.
I think that's being very nice to his intellect.
Yeah, you're ascribing a lot more intentionality to this than I think exists.
I think maybe the people behind him are encouraging him to do that. And I have no doubt that since these tariffs are on cars, I have a feeling that Elon Musk is like whispering in his ear, like Grima Wormtongue, being like, yes, my lord. Yes, name the Cybertruck the new liberation car. Yes.
Well, apparently Tesla is largely manufactured in the States, so they are going to be exempt from most of this.
That's what I'm saying.
They're like the one, because every other car, it's like like when you said about like Canadian and Mexican cars, it's like, how do you define this? Because every car, with the exception of Tesla's, is a hodgepodge of like parts from Mexico, parts from Canada, parts from the U.S. that is maybe assembled partially in the U.S. or partially in Canada. And so I don't know if you just do it like where the final assembly is done and it rolls off the line, or you try and like break it down like that car's 60% Mexican. Like I don't know how you try and do that.
Which it sounds Trumpy and racist.
Yeah,
so,
Yeah, that's true.
As I said it, I didn't feel good about saying
No.
literally describing
that
a car.
bumper looks real Mexican.
Mexican bumpers, you know what they're like.
They like tortillas.
Jesus Christ.
That's not me saying that. That's Trump saying that.
That was an audio clip of Trump saying that just happened to come out of Clare's bag. Yeah.
But they're all manufactured different parts on different sides of the border, whereas Tesla is entirely glued together in the United States, just duct taped, American duct tape on that thing.
Guys, sidebar, speaking of Teslas, I was standing at the corner waiting for my bus today, and one just pulled up right in front of me, and it sat there for a couple minutes, and I really tried to look at it objectively, as opposed to just pointing and laughing like I always do, because that's what you have to do, and I laughed anyway. I really tried hard not to. I was like, can I see some redeeming function of this car? And the answer is no.
Oh, are we talking a regular Tesla car or a Cybertruck?
Sorry, a Cybertruck.
Oh,
yes,
goodness,
sorry, a Cybertruck.
No. Seeing one of them in the wild is like, what the fuck is happening?
There's no back mirror. It's like window. There's no back window.
No, it's a really good reminder to update your will if you haven't. Because if one of those things hits you, it's lights out. Night.
I just wanted to go and like pull off the side of it like you see them doing in the videos. Mm-hmm. Because it's held on by glue. Anyway.
Take it as a trophy.
Yeah, exactly. No, anyway, I just have to say that because it's truly hilarious.
I love that the Cybertruck defenders or proponents will sometimes be like, yeah, but you watch like, a Ford or whatever truck, and when it gets into an impact, it crumples. And the Cybertruck just bounces off the thing. And it's like, yeah, the crumpling is intentional.
Yes,
it's better for the people inside the car if it crumples. If the car just rams into a wall and bounces back, you know what keeps going forward? The people inside the car.
Your bones, your brain, your meats, your fats. It's all going to do that the car didn't do. It's not good.
Yeah, I love that they think the crumpling is just like, wow, we don't make cars like they used to. And there was no thinking of like why cars crumple on impact. More so, it's just like, back in 58, we made cars way better.
Yeah, this is built like a 58 Studebaker, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
America.
Well, speaking of America, fuck yeah. I do want to give Trump, credit for something, which is he has done something that if you're which I'm certainly not, a scholar of Asian history, people thought impossible, which is he has united South Korea, China, and Japan, which again, I know very little, but I know just enough to know that in the last few centuries alone, few countries have hated each other more than those three countries, all at different times hating each other. Japan obviously invaded both at various times. South Korea has the whole conflict with China over North Korea. China, Japan cannot stand each other. There's so many things that have gone down between these countries, and they have now banded together to agree that they will work together to respond to Trump's tariffs. So you got to give him credit. He's bringing people together, gang.
Maybe
Kumbaya fucking yeah.
maybe his goal was just to unify the world against him this whole time.
I mean, I'm into it. I mean, there's some people we gotta like unifying with some countries. I'm gonna be like, but enemy of my enemy. It's like, all right, yeah, we're partying with Russia now. We're like, I don't know. I mean, except obviously Russia's with Trump.
Probably not Russian.
Yeah. Saudi Arabia and us. I mean, we already sell stuff to them, so I guess that's us.
It does blow my mind, though, how I think it's pretty clear that at no point did it occur to him that other countries would have opinions on the tariffs I want to do and that they might do things. Like, he has no object permanence or the idea to imagine that other people have an inner life or...
He also has the economic know-how of a ficus plant. Like, he
a ficus plant that's bankrupted multiple casinos.
Correct.
Multiple ficus casinos?
Yeah.
Oh.
They go and they play for plant food or whatever. I don't know. This bit's already running out of juice.
Yeah, I started it. Sorry for making you run with it. Well, as you said, the people are responding, and Canada, even before the new tariffs, has unveiled its strategic response to tariffs. For those who don't know, Canada is not doing the blanket 25% across the board the way Trump is doing or threatening to do, or 20% across all the boards globally like Trump is threatening to do. Canada is trying to use strategic tariffs that target industries in Republican states or that are owned by Trump allies. And just this week, they released a list of 6,200 items that would now be tariffed at, I believe, 25% if they wish to be imported into Canada. Obviously, some of them are fairly obvious. Some of them were truly bizarre and obscure. Can you guys name any of the insane ones?
Kid Rock commemorative Crocs or Kid Crocs.
Any and all future Jordan Petersons.
I went straight down the barrel with, I said bourbon, but I also only drink liberal bourbon, which is Moscato mixed with Sprite. So it's still like weird to me, like regular bourbon.
They call that an Ezra Klein.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's exactly what they call it.
I like that of the two drinks you used to make bourbon, you didn't list one that was slightly brown.
No. Wait, bourbon's brown?
Bourbon, the Moscato of wines.
Why would you drink a brown drink? That's nuts.
You know what? When you put it like that, it's a good point. On your farm, there's no brown drinks of any kind?
There's only Moscato and Sprite. I just said it, Liz.
I will not be visiting your farm. I'm so sorry.
Damn it. It's all right.
This Tradway farm sounds awesome.
It is a party. It's great. You're all invited. Claire, you're still invited. If you don't want to come, that's okay.
I will bring my own bourbon.
Okay. Excellent.
Well, among the truly bizarre ones included manatee meat, presumably targeting Florida. These are real. Flamethrowers, presumably targeting Musk, whose company makes flamethrowers.
And also Florida.
Yes, Florida. And bovine semen, clearly targeting J.D. Vance and Florida. Had to get it in before Claire got it.
How else is he going to inseminate the couches? Leather couches.
Oh, nice. No, that's good. That was good. Anyone who groaned at home, you're wrong. That's right.
It's the most grotesque image that's ever been conjured on the podcast space.
The full list also includes asbestos, wigs, snuff, which I think they left in from when we did tariffs in 1879.
Or the films, also Florida.
Roller coaster parts and traveling circuses.
This is hitting Florida so hard.
I know, Florida's fucked. If all the Quebecois snowbirds not going down didn't kill them, the manatee meat is just going to drive the nail in the coffin.
If we target their alligator meth, then they're done.
Guys, what if these traveling circuses had everything that we also just listed?
That list is funnier than anything I wrote. That is a 30 Rock list right there that you listed.
Yes.
I mean, I was like, part of me was like, I mean, this is so stupid and not important compared to the election, but I was also like, it would be funny to lead with manatee meat.
Chef's kiss decision.
Literally, chefs love it.
Yeah.
It's great to cook with. Looks real lean.
There's a Michelin star chef listening to the podcast right now, like, leading with manatee meat. Wait, give me a pen.
And flamethrowers, quick.
Yeah, that's the Florida version of the bear, the manatee.
Oh man! And if it's a Canadian chef, it's just like some guy who's like, I don't know, manatee poutine. All right, like it's just every restaurant's move is like, yeah, there's a thing, we put in poutine. Well, that was wonderful and a fun way to end. Before we move on to the grand finale of our quiz, a quick word on how you, the listener, can help support the podcast. First of all, you're listening. You're doing great. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe so you can check it out every week and have it automatically uploaded to your app of choice. If you would be so kind, hop on that app and drop it 5 stars and leave a review. Say something about how much you enjoy manatee meat. Whatever you want to do. If you listen on browser on our website, we really appreciate that. If you have a podcast app and you can still leave us a review on that, even if you don't use it regularly, that'd be great too. Also, feel free to post about us on social media. Tell a friend. Word of mouth is like the way podcasts get more listeners. So we really appreciate it. We want to grow this thing, as big as possible and have as many listeners as possible. So we really appreciate your efforts in helping us out there. Also, if you do want to support us monetarily, you can sign up for us on Patreon, patreon.com/thebeaverton. You can sign up at any level and you will get exclusive content every week in the form of mega episodes or extended cut episodes. Not the other one that makes Claire cringe that I definitely won't say right now. The Beaver Cut. Definitely not that. Definitely, we're not calling it that. But longer episodes, if you're wondering, hey, there's a big story that they didn't cover on the podcast this week. Probably we did. It's probably in the Patreon, so you can go over to patreon.com and check it out. You get that. You get discounts on merch. You get a free article an article every week that is exclusive to our Patreon members, and you get the joy of knowing that you're helping us arrogant Toronto elites look down on the world from our basement apartments. And so we really appreciate your help. And if you are a Patreon member listening to this right now, thank you so much for subscribing, and thank you so much for joining the Patreon. You are the reason we get to do this, the reason the website still exists. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you so much. And now, without further ado, the approximately 10-minute long quiz.
It's the approximately 10-minute long quiz. Brought to you by Time.
Every week I ask our panelists to play the approximately 10-minute long quiz where I put their knowledge of some lesser-known news stories to the test. Our first question, the Buy Canadian movement has picked up steam since Trump's tariffs and annexation threats began. This week, a Buy Canadian bill was proposed by a rather surprising politician. Can you tell me who?
Donald Trump. He's playing all sides, baby.
The Phantom of the Parliament, Tommy Douglas. He's still alive. He wears a mask, and he caterwauls in the rafters until the sergeant-at-arms can get up a ladder and hit him with the mace.
Well, he can't die. He invented all that health care.
He's gonna live forever with your health care.
He's like that guy who drinks his son's blood.
I mean, he was very pro-eugenics, so that does check out.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Neat thing we learned about Tommy Douglas.
I will just say a mustachioed politician named Waylon Gueston.
So is Waylon the less evil version of Galen?
Oh no, he's wearing a fake mustache, y'all. It's just Galen Weston.
I was just doing a Wario Mario thing.
Oh no. Wah, wah, I missed the joke.
Sorry for being a nerd. The real answer, does anyone know it offhand?
No.
Yves Francois Blanchet, the leader of the Bloc Québécois.
Oh my goodness.
Which is surprising in the sense that he's a Quebec separatist. And what was great about that is I read this whole article, and at no point did they ever acknowledge the irony of a guy who wants to separate from Canada proposing a Buy Canadian bill. They were just like, yeah, Bloc Québécois leader Yves Francois Blanchet came out and said this. And it's like, you'd think he would have at least been like, Acheter Québec in big letters and then Buy Canadian in small ones. There's a little Bill 101 joke for you there.
If we separate, where will we get our manatee meat?
Yeah, that's what they do with all their poutine in Quebec. It's all manatee.
That's what the gravy's made of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, I
No,
could have
isn't that the bovine semen?
Oh.
Heel of the podcast. Heel of the podcast. Can't stop me. Heel of the podcast.
It's really hard to pin down this character dynamic. It's like half trad wife, go with the flow, I'll say anything to anyone, and then the other man is just like, heal the podcast, jab, 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 jab. Really hard to pin down. I'm loving it.
It's
really
just pure chaos.
I'm always zagging on him.
All right. No, zagging on him. God damn it. No points on that one. Our next question. Why did police in the UK falsely accuse an elderly couple of operating a marijuana grow op out of their home?
They seem too chill about being close to death.
That would work.
To promote Guy Ritchie's rollicking action comedy romp, The Gentleman, now streaming on Netflix. Maybe?
Show or movie?
But no, it's a show, isn't it?
I know, but it was also a movie.
It's a show too, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got it. That's fine.
I love how natural and authentic your "in it" is.
No, like
In it.
I can't stop saying it. I started saying it a month ago, and this is my life. In it.
I think the police did it to divert attention from their actual police grow up that they had.
Ooh, spicy.
A double move. Does anyone know the real answer? The couple had their gas heating on so high that the police thermal helicopter flagged it.
Jesus.
Because obviously marijuana grow-ups use a lot of heat. And so this couple who was just fighting a draft cranked up the heat so strong, and they had gas heating, that the thermal helicopter, which I guess was just circling overhead, flagged it, and then 9 officers charged upstairs searching for the cannabis plants and the strong lamps, which they knew were there. The story did not include details on how hot the couple was heating their home, but this is all great news for my wife, because she now has a new argument to make when we argue about the fact that she keeps the house at 17 degrees at all times, and I am freezing every day. So now she has this. It's like, I turn it up any higher, the cops are coming.
Oh, man.
Next question. As everyone knows, when a business goes out of business, it puts its inventory up for sale at rock bottom prices. But one recent corporate bankruptcy has made what rather disturbing type of property available for sale to the highest bidder.
I mean, this has got to be the worst fucking way for me to find out 23andMe is selling my piss. Like, the worst possible way.
That's a point. That is exactly what it is. No. It is. It's DNA. This is what it is. 23andMe went bankrupt, and they are selling, or they're looking for a purchaser to buy the company, which will also entitle them to their inventory, which is, I'm just looking up the number, 15 million people's genetic information.
Okay.
So I'm so sorry to inform you, but it is absolutely. This is the second time someone has backed into the right answer through a joke. I think Niall did it on the first week, and now there's this. Yeah, it is absolutely that they're selling your piss and all the fun little info that came with it.
Great. That's good. That's genuinely great.
Could they work off your pee?
No, there's no DNA.
I know it's not pee. I'm just saying it's your spit, right?
You
That's
spit in a tube.
Yeah.
You sit there for an hour spitting in a tube. It's really embarrassing.
Speaking of businesses with DNA, come on down to JD Vance's slightly used couch emporium.
I mean, there was always a risk in just giving your DNA information to a Silicon Valley startup. Like, that's probably never worked out. So I mean, I don't feel a ton of sympathy, sorry, man, but I'm also like, it was a buyer beware kind of situation, or reap what you sow. But I do appreciate that, like, the one real benefit of all this is that it led to the capture of the Golden State Killer. That's all I care about. Yeah. Is that one of his relatives signed up for like 23andMe or one of them like that, and then the cops were like, that's a match. I don't know how the cops got that, but anyways, they did. That's probably not shady at all. The cops were like, hey, that's a match for one of our guys. So there was one benefit to it all, and then now there's just a lot of people who are worried that Elon Musk is going to buy up their genetic information or whatever.
So, and make more kids that he'll never see.
Oh, I don't think he gets that right. I hope
with my piss? Not my piss, children. Those are mine. I do not consent.
Piss Baby, a trad life story.
Oh my
I would
God,
say this podcast has gone off the rails. It was never on the rails.
It was never supposed to be on the rails.
No.
This next game is Complete the Headline. I'm going to read out a headline that's missing some words. You guys feel free to jump in if you know the answer, or know what's missing, excuse me. Babysitter checking for monsters finds blank under child's bed.
Copy of Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged.
Very concerning.
Oh, that kid's going to suck.
Babysitter checking for monsters finds fentanyl under the bed. It was him. Kid was doing the whole drug trade.
This ambitious kid. Oh my God. Unfortunately, my answer was my illegally sold 23andMe piss. I really didn't think it was going to hit. It feels too soon for a callback now, but, you know.
Nah, it's perfect time. Does anyone know the real answer? Babysitter. Oh, sorry. No?
Another child. I don't know.
No, it's much worse. This one's a bit dark. Babysitter checking for monsters finds man under child's bed. So the kid was like, I hear something, there's a monster under his bed. And babysitter's like, no, there's not, Timmy. Let me look. And then got under and looked under the bed. And there was just a full-on dude eyes staring back at her. So the guy, nothing bad happened. The guy ran away. There was a light scuffle. The guy ran away.
He had to shuffle out from under the bed first.
Yes. I think he came out of the bed pretty quick. And then fortunately there was I would obviously have never brought this up if there was like something horrible that happened. But yeah, he just got out of there and he was like, the news story was vague, but he was like known. He wasn't like a complete random. He was known, but he was not supposed to be there. So now, instead of the whole, what would you rather run into the woods, man or bear? There's a way better debate, which is, what would you rather find when you look under the bed, man or monster? And I think man is far worse.
Definitely worse.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I've ruined Claire's day.
Wouldn't it be great if it turned out that the kid was keeping the man under there, like a Saw type situation? The man was like, help me, and she was like, no.
That's absolutely a Mr. Beast experiment.
Do you want to play a game? Last one. Man worried about relationship with wife after allegedly...
worried about relationship with wife after allegedly cheating on wife. This from the Unfaithful Husband Gazette.
You're in the ballpark.
Mm-hmm. Man worried about relationship with wife after he allegedly finds a book under her pillow called How to Murder My Husband.
Realizing that this is not his beautiful wife. Easily my hackiest joke of the podcast. I'm so sorry. I have to apologize for that one.
All phenomenal. The real answer... Man worried about relationship with wife after allegedly murdering her teenage lover.
There's a lot there.
Yeah.
Like when?
Like he came home, found them in bed, and killed the guy. This was an 18-year-old, I want to say. And obviously, this is horrible and fucked up. But also, like, the phrasing of it, like, he gave a quote to the cops where he was just like, I'm worried about my relationship with my wife because I offed that guy. And, like, he's so far past worried, you know what I mean? Worried is like your wife sends you a text being like, we need to talk. Worried is not, one, your wife's having an affair with an 18-year-old, and two, you just killed that guy.
In fairness, it's going to make it a lot easier to work on the relationship when that guy's out of the picture.
That's true.
Yeah, and definitely there won't be any kind of, like, prison-esque boundary between them anymore.
What, you were going to do couples therapy with 3 of them? No, get out. No.
Yes, so ended dark, but you know what? We started with manatee meat, so it's fine. Well, the winner, after all that, completely unintentionally, the trad wife herself, MacKay.
Hooray!
Heel of the podcast.
You've won absolutely nothing save for the right of first plug, if there's anything you'd like to let people know about.
I mean, if you want to buy my DNA, I guess it's for sale now. I talked to 23andMe, and I'm on Blue Sky at MMMEGAN.
Awesome. Ian?
I would sell my DNA, but I took the test and it turns out I have Megan's DNA and I don't understand how.
Piss baby.
All right, piss baby right here. Yeah, I'm writing for the Beaverton these days. Come check us out. A lot of stuff's happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of news to write about for some reason these days. Claire Blackwood.
Yeah, you can find me at Claire Blackwood on Blue Sky, and also it's Claire Blackwood on YouTube, where I do lots of ridiculous characters.
All very, very funny. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to everyone listening. You can check us out at The Beaverton, wherever you get your social media. You go to the website, thebeaverton.com. And yeah, thank you so much. Have a wonderful week. Talk to you next time.
The Beaverton Weekly Report is produced by Andrew Rivamy in partnership with the From Superheroes Network. Visit FromSuperheroes.com to hear more great podcasts like this.